of security situation in Nigeria all through the year 2024?
Thank you. Let me start by also commending all the security departments that we have in the country. About 29 of them were represented by 2 here, and they've all reeled out their achievements. The fact that the country's existence was not significantly threatened, and the fact that we celebrated a year, and not only celebrated a year, we're looking ahead into 2025, I think they deserve commendation. But there is a primary purpose of national security, which is stated in section 14, subsection 2 of our constitution. That is the protection of lives and property. If we're going to use metrics to measure the performance of all of these 29, then there is room for, I think the general actually spoke to that. Achievement has been made, but then there is significant room for improvement. As you know, I run a firm where we keep data of fatalities, abductions, and things like that. And we know that in 2024, more than 12,000 Nigerians have been killed. And so it's very difficult for me to completely clap my hands.
Killed under what circumstances?
Different circumstances. Non-state actors, I think the general mentioned them across the 6 geopolitical zones. We have different non-state actors that are challenging the supremacy of the use of force by the state for various reasons. Some of them for political reasons, some of them economic, others, just for the sake of what they are. The last time we counted these non-state actors, there were more than 36 of them across the different federations. And not to add the of state-level security, structures that has been created by different states. Perhaps it's even important at this stage to mention to you that in the Northwest in particular, these state-level security creations are in themselves adding to the challenge in the country. So vigilantes have been created, and if you are going to speak to I'm going to use that ethnic group now because there is no really word for me to replace that. Any Fulani association, they will tell you that they are being targeted by these state-level security creations. The same thing is happening in Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kabir. So it is the activities of these non-state actors, whether formally created at the state level or informal, that is mainly contributing to this number of deaths that we've seen in the country. And when I'm assessing national security, I would love to do it across the various levels, the strategic level and then the tactical level. A lot of what the general and the CP has mentioned are actually at the tactical level. At the operational level and perhaps even at the strategic level, there are issues that if we look closely at them, it can help improve national security. I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if within the remit of this conversation, but the National Security Council, in the whole of 2024, I think it sat down only once, where these are a forum where strategic security issues should have been discussed, so that direction is provided for the operational and then the tactical level. The essence of me saying this is so that we can improve in certain areas. If we can bring that number to, let's say, 100, I mean, we'll be happy, we'll celebrate. But that's not to say achievement has not been made. There has been significant achievements. Like the general mentioned, roads are now open in several parts of the northeast. Northwest, traveling, for instance, from Abuja to Kaduna. In fact, I just came back from Kaduna. I went for a wedding. I didn't go with any armed escort. I went to Zaria and came back, in fact, on the same day. So there is improvement, but that does not completely eliminate the threats that are there. If we're going to completely eliminate those threats, we need to approach security from those levels. How do we strengthen coordination using strategic approaches at the operational level, at the tactical level? How do we do all of that? How do we make sure these 29 agencies that I mentioned are working together in synergy with the 3 C's of collaboration, coordination, and cooperation, so that those numbers are brought down to perhaps 100.
Talking about the numbers, I'm interested in that. You just gave us the number of deaths that your agency was able to put together. You were talking about those kidnapped and all of that. Give us the data.
So there are about 7,000 for 2004, and it's in that area that I'm very worried, in the area of abduction. because we've seen an increase when we compare for 2023, an increase of almost 30%, and majorly in the northwest of the country. Majorly. The significant increase of about 80% is happening in northwest. And if earlier on your reporter cited the survey that was done by MBS, irrespective of the deficiencies in that survey, it also pointed out to that fact that the northwest represents the hotbed for abduction within the country, where in places like Katsina, Zamfara, you are seeing an increase of mass abduction, where these non-state actors are able to go to communities and then pack people, and of course take them to usually ungoverned spaces, keep them there for a long time. That's not to say that our security agencies are not doing anything about it. They are. They've been rescuing these persons. They've been releasing them.
Do you have the number? Those rescued?
Rescue. I have it, but I don't have it on my head right now. Because our report will come out, I think, in about a week's time, and it really the number that has been rescued. But point I'm trying to make is the various instruments that we have for addressing some of the security elements. For example, the National Counterterrorism Strategy, the policy framework on countering violent CVE, countering violent extremism, and then the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act 2022 as amended. They've provided certain things for ensuring that these things don't continue. So as an example, the funding for terrorism. We've not done so much in terms of addressing that funding. The shadow economy that exists for abduction, which was clearly indicated in that MBS report, I think about 2.something trillion naira. Again, I have my issues regarding that report, but at least it's a reference point for us. Now, imagine 2.2 trillion naira. That is more than the budget of almost all the northwestern states put together. And that's what that report is saying. Shadow economy. They are using it to acquire weapons, they are using it to buy influence and all of that. So going forward, those are the areas that I would humbly suggest to my co-discussants to start looking at. Again, national security has different levels: strategic, operational, tactical, and then several other geopolitical, environmental, and others. Some of them can be handled by them, but others are handled at a much higher level. If we don't stop the funding of these groups, non-state armed groups, their ability to recruit new members, their ability to indoctrinate, then it would be tantamount to using basket to fetch water. Because the more the military or the police kill them, the more they have the ability to recruit more members. And sadly, that is where we are at the moment. Again, I want to emphasize, I'm not in any way belittling the efforts of our security agents. They are doing amazing jobs. Operation Fansanyama was just recently introduced by to address the issue of banditry in the Northwest. It is commendable. Perhaps when we come to discuss that, I'll also give some recommendations on how to improve even the operational, some of the operations that the military is carrying out at the moment.
Dr.